Thank you so much for joining us today in this conversation with a teacher that is going to just blow your mind. My name is Hilda Rosselli, and I work with the Willamette ESD and Western Oregon University on a series of videos and resources to help all of those individuals in Oregon who are interested in becoming teachers. And when I thought about how to inspire others about this career, I thought of Melissa Wilk. So I'm excited to introduce her to you. I first met her at a conference and I was so impressed. Here was this young teacher who was so curious and professional and interested in doing anything she could do to improve outcomes for her students. When I learned a little bit more about her own personal journey towards becoming a teacher, I realized how often she turned adversity and challenges into opportunities. So Melissa, like many of you, started at a community college towards her teacher licensure degree and then transferred to Portland State. What I found interesting was that she worked all the way through, putting herself through school, sometimes carrying 3 jobs in order to graduate debt-free, and a commencement speaker at Portland State University. When she took her first position, she was on the coast. And then she moved to Glide, which is far from the coast, a very small rural community. And there she practiced the good quality that every teacher has, flexibility. She has taught 2nd grade, she's taught 3rd grade, then she taught a split of both grades, and then she taught online because of COVID. And she'll tell you more. There were even wildfires that impacted her teaching, but that didn't stop her, obviously. Her leadership skills are really what caught my attention. She has stepped up and assumed a way of quietly giving insights to those who need to listen to the voices and experiences of teachers. She has served on the Educator Advancement Council, which funded all of the Grow Your Own programs right now in Oregon. She also was tapped by the governor for a reopening council after following COVID guidelines. She helped give assurances that personnel would be safe. She also is a mentor in her school district for new teachers, and she's getting ready to start a new chapter of her life in a doctoral program at the University of Oregon. She does find time somehow for bird watching, cooking, and running, which helps her balance her life. Although her motto is "the future brings joy," I think you'll agree with me, Melissa brings joy to all who know her. So let's welcome Melissa. Melissa, tell me a little bit about your journey towards becoming an elementary classroom teacher.
School has always been a safe place when things were rough at home growing up, as they are for many students. School was a place for hot meals and for kind adults and for people to help with coursework and also for a library full of books. I think the first person who inspired me to become a teacher would be my 1st grade teacher, Mrs. Hennessy. I remember that she never raised her voice. She always incorporated music. And she helped me with my homework during her prep times, knowing that I wouldn't finish it if I took it home. So I think that would be the first step towards my teaching career. And going forward, by the time I was 17, school was still always that safe place that I could go to. It was consistent. It was always the same. But I had no idea how to sign up for the SATs or how to apply for school, for college. But I knew that I needed to move forward. And so I enrolled in Portland Community College, the Go Sylvania campus. And there is where I found the TRIO program, a federally funded program for first-generation college students. And it was there that I really found my roots, which is also the name of the program, Roots. They helped me sign up for my classes. They helped me sign up for scholarships. They helped me fill out my FAFSA. They helped me find places to live. I remember during those times, they were hard. I was trying to find bus vouchers and live off of food stamps and live on the couches of families and friends, and work full-time while going to school. And during that time, the thing that was consistent still was that I had my teachers. And with a community college, we had small classrooms. You were able to get to know people quickly, and that support was imperative. And moving from Portland Community College after 2 years, after I received my AAOT, my transfer degree, I went to Portland State University, which was daunting. Much bigger campus, bigger classrooms, and moving from job to job to job while pursuing school, you're not on campus a lot. So having the TRIO program once again was a grounding root system for me, and that's where I met Rosalind Taylor. Rosalind Taylor was my mentor for 2 years at Portland State University, and I owe a lot of where I am today because of her. And she was again another influence who said you should teach.
So Melissa, you're now in your 6th year of teaching. Can you tell us a little bit about the first couple of years?
I graduated from Lewis and Clark Graduate School of Education, and I was ready to start. I was ready to teach. I remember after receiving my assignment at Ocean Lake Elementary on the Oregon coast, spending many non-contract summer hours wanting the classroom to look like a classroom. I already had all the tools, and now I wanted to have a teaching room. I went to Goodwill. I went and hunted down anything I could find as far as furniture, materials for the students. And I was extremely hard on myself. I wanted everything to be perfect. And by the time students came in the door, there was already an exhaustion that set in. And that first year, if teaching is swimming, that first year was doggy paddling. You learned by trial and error. There were many tools from graduate school that helped me, and there are lots of things that you learn on the job. That first year was a remarkable year. My second year of teaching, I applied for the Fulbright Commission in the north of Spain, and I got in. And so I left Ocean Lake Elementary. I went to Spain for 1 year, and there I taught pre-K through 6th grade. I also taught occupational English to adults at the local community center. And during that time, I co-wrote a pedagogy and methodology handbook for the Fulbright program, knowing that it was incredibly important teachers knew all the different styles of teaching before going into a classroom, and all the different tools that they could have. Now, after that, I returned back to Ocean Lake, and by that time, more than half of the staff had left. We had a new principal. We had a new vice principal. I had a new teaching assignment and a new classroom, and it felt like I was starting all over again. I was a new teacher all over again.
And then what led you to move to Glide? And how was that experience?
Yeah. After teaching on the Oregon coast, I decided I'm ready for a change, to see where else I can go, and also to be closer to family. So I moved to Glide, Oregon, and there, a very rural, very remote community. It was a close-knit community, and being surrounded by so many other teachers who were involved in that work was incredibly helpful.
So this year particularly had new challenges for you in Glide. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so the first day of school, we had the Archie Creek wildfire begin. And I woke up to a video message of fire surrounding our school. And at this point, COVID-19 was something that we were all reeling from. So our school was delayed for 2 weeks. And after that, I began teaching online in 3rd grade. That lasted for maybe a month and a half, and then I began to teach 2nd and 3rd grade. And then that changed once more because we all have to be flexible during the pandemic. And then I was teaching 3rd grade in person and online in tandem. That changed a 4th time this year, and now I am teaching kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. So it required a lot of flexibility. a lot of communication and collaboration. And now I teach online through a Google Classroom that I have set up. I teach the students their core curriculum, and I also provide them music, geography, science, and we have guest speakers, including people from NASA come. So trying to integrate as much connection as possible has been incredibly helpful and demanding.
You've talked a lot about tools for the classroom and how you can impact kids. Can you give us some real examples of how you bring learning to life for kids, especially when you were teaching online?
Teaching is a lot like swimming, and it's also a lot like fishing. You need different hooks for different learners. And as you're going through your coursework or through a lesson, it's important to incorporate as many different modalities as possible, whether it's a game or music, whether it's a visual representation so they know what you're asking for, and also positive reinforcement, focusing on the positive, is an incredibly powerful tool for students. I would say another incredibly important tool would be sharing authority. The classroom is something that should be shared for all learners, and when the teacher decides that they are also going to be a learner along with the students and that they're going to learn something from their students, it becomes something impactful and authentic and engaging. Flexibility, knowing that not every lesson is going to go the way that you think, but it may take you somewhere great. And also to remember that just like a house or any space, a restaurant, everything has a movement, and the way that you set up your classroom provides a movement and a freedom for the students and for you. And thinking about a classroom, it's incredibly important for the students to be able to engage with their world. What tools do you have out for them to use? Can they access drawers? Can they access the things near them? How can you utilize this space for the best engagement possible?
It sounds like your classroom must be a fun place to be. But I also want to touch a little bit about the fact that those around you recognize your leadership abilities. Tell us what that has meant for you and how your life is changing.
I mentioned that my first year of teaching was like doggy paddling, and that I was very hard on myself, and it was my principal at the time, Betsy Wilcox, who came up to me and said I had natural authority. And at first I didn't believe her. She was one of the first people in my career who said, you should take on teacher leadership. And then Susan Rober, my mentor, during my third year of teaching, said the same. She kind of took me under her wing and brought me to different teacher leadership gatherings across the state. And at some point you have to trust yourself and say, okay, even if I don't see it, these people see it. The teacher leadership opportunities that I've had have opened so many doors that I would have never thought were possible before. And the people who are engaged in this work, who have supported me through all of this, makes you want to give back. Some of the opportunities would include teacher leadership on committees or on councils like the Educator Advancement Council with partners from around the state in different levels of authority. And some of them, like the Chalkboard Project, a Distinguished Educators Council, are with teachers who are in classrooms just like you. The biggest revelation I've had with teacher leadership has been you don't know what you don't know. And now understanding the agency of policy and legislation, it's opened up a whole new realm of ways to help students and teachers across Oregon.
So tell me a little bit about your long-term professional goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I have just been accepted to the University of Oregon Doctoral Educational Leadership Program. And I see myself working with beginning teachers. I don't know in what capacity yet, but I know that there are many pathways across the educator continuum to help others, and mentoring is an incredibly important tool. There are also many other tools that we can use, and I want to explore those. I want to know how many ways we can retain teachers, and not only retain them, but to create this inclusive, joyful experience, which is teaching. Because yes, it is a very demanding job, but it's also an incredibly joyful one.
Where do you think you'll be in 5 years?
In 5 years from now, I would love to work with a community college or with a university and help them partner with others to create as many pathways for those new teachers as possible.
That sounds wonderful. I'd love to ask you what your advice would be for a brand new teacher or somebody who's aspiring to be a teacher. My advice would be, when you meet another professional, a colleague, a teacher, anyone at your school, and they lift you up and they support you, and you had that immediate connection with them, stay in touch. Stay in touch with them and reach out to them to celebrate, and also reach out if you're having a tough time, but have people in your corner. That would be my best piece of advice. That's a great piece of advice, Melissa, and I can't express to you our gratitude enough for taking the time during the end of this busy year to meet with us and share some of your thoughts and experiences. I know it's going to be very valuable for our future educators, and who knows, one of you may be mentored by Melissa someday. Thanks again, and best of luck as you go forward in a very bright future and career.
Thank you.